Krill here again. I'm about to play the next turn of PB15. Novice is in at the is just actually logged in, I think, so I might have to pause. Yeah, it seems like me and Novice want to play at the same time. There's nothing actually wrong with this, as long as neither of us declares war or anything. So I'll just quickly check everything, and then oh, Novice has left the game, so I'll just be polite and ask Novice if he needs to play the turn now, because potentially he's got to do stuff this afternoon, so he'll be limited in playtime. But I can play this at any point. But just whilst I message him, I'll just quickly check out everything. I know he said it's okay for me to play the turn, so I'll just carry on, man. No change for anything around Novice that I can see. Arguably, I could have left my chariot one tile down on the grassland last turn and just to see what Novice did. That would have been smart, I think, to have done that. To give myself a bit more information. But it's nothing that important. So I'll move up, and there's nothing around here. I'll just pillage this hamlet down a bit. Potentially move to pillage that mine on that Plains Hill tile with the chariot. There's nothing that I can see around here. Oh, Commodore's cottaging a tile. That's pretty. The fact that he's not covered that shows the some peaceful, well, not peaceful, but not paranoid intentions. However, he knows he's got such good vision that there's nothing I can really do to stop him. Even if I were to move the chariot down, he'd be able to back away before I could do anything. So it's not. So it could be just a better prioritization of units on his part to not cover that. Could be that he's got barb trouble. Could be whatever. Well, he's not running much military, so he's probably got some barb trouble. Just because I don't think he's got anything to defend with, and there are barbs around. Thoth has a spearman and and an axe to cover the worker that's going to road and mine that gems tile. I don't see this actually as an aggressive play, because he's simply covering the forest tile so that I can't move onto it. Because if I were to move onto it, actually, even if I were to move onto it, Thoth could promote his axeman to combat, and I think he'd have odds on me. It wouldn't be great. He'd probably lose. He'd run a good risk of losing the axe, but he'd definitely kill the archer with the spear as well. He just doesn't want to trade units, so I don't think that's an aggressive move. I think he's just playing safe and covering that forest. And there's nothing else around here. Fat's regrown quite quickly thanks to the granary over the past few turns, whereas Flub has done nothing. It's just sat at size 1 for quite a while now, though the borders are about to pop, I think, to get the pig, because there's no food tile in that city until it gets the pig, so it's going to regrow slowly. So there's not much really to go on with this turn. Just to check the event log, you'll see that there's nothing that's happened. And I'm just going to carry on with the scouting first. So there's nothing. So I'm safely over onto these forest hills. So this warrior, unless it comes across a spear or a axe, is probably going to be okay for a bit. When I move it onto that hill, it should uncover enough fog of war that I might actually meet Scooter next turn, just depending on where he's planted a city. Like if he's planted a city for this wheat, I won't like, if he's planted a city, say one south of the wheat or one west of the wheat, I'm not going to see it. But move on to this. Uh, I think that's a forest hill tile here. I'll definitely get vision on him. But if he's planted nothing south of his capital, then yeah, I've got to go a bit further. So the rest is just carrying on as normal. So move with the spear. Actually, yeah, axe still hasn't decayed, and that axe hasn't decayed, so that's fine. I could be really smart and go and check up past turn logs to see when I stopped building that axe, but I'm too lazy to do that right now. So I'm just going to move both of these workers up. So there's now a cottage one turn from being complete on where that farm stands. I don't really need to change it right now, so I'm not going to. Worker 1, I could move it over to the die city, but I don't see the need. I'm going to actually just road this tile, and then road further down with it. Actually, I'm just going to have to pause the stream one moment. I'll be back shortly. Okay, back now. Yeah, I need to chop one further forest to get the library. Well, no. Actually, I whip say Baron again this turn. But I do need to chop one more forest. Yeah. I slaved the granary here. I'm immediately going to regrow because I want to use the sheep next turn. I'll end up with 7 food in the food box. I'll need 24 to grow total, so that will mean 17. So it's just not quite enough food to grow in 2 turns, but I'll grow in 3, and I'll set grow in 3 to size 3. What is it? 8, well, 7, save 12, 19. So and then I'll immediately grow the turn after that. So I'll immediately grow to size 3. I'll go to size 3 on, what is it? 7, 8, 9, on 79. 80 I'll grow to size 4. And then I can immediately whip. I could then double whip a library, provided I have 40 hammers, which I should just about get by working a sheep at size 2 and a grassland at size a grassland forest at size 3. So that's I'm okay with that. But I can use the sheep this turn in ARAM collusion. I'll make 22 production into that settler, so I'll get it to 60. Yeah, I'll get it to 60 out of 100. Next turn, I can swap. I can work. Next turn, I can work the hill. I make 21. Turn after that, I can use the cottage to make 19. I'll finish exactly at 100 with no overflow. And that one hammer overflow I'd get from working the plains, hill, forest, I'd lose to rounding anyway. So I can work the cottage for one turn. Or can I work this one? Yeah, I can work either, doesn't matter. But I'd rather work the plains one, even though it's on the front line, because it's slightly closer to becoming a hamlet. Even though it's a plains tile, just because I'll be different for once. But again, to go back to Say Baron again, I need to get that forest chop done, but I can't do it too soon. I have to wait until mathematics is finished. If I were to move this turn, that chop would come in the turn before mathematics completed. So I would only get 20 hammers, so that's obviously not enough. So I need to waste a turn. One way to do that, I think, is to actually road the pig tile. Because I can road and cancel. Next turn I can move on to this grass and forest to chop that, and that'll be fine. Even though I would prefer to chop this one. Actually, I could do that because I rode the pig this turn with worker 4. I move worker 5 down to road and cancel that. To road and cancel on the cottage. Next turn I road and finish the pig, and then worker 4 can actually move all the way to that forest anyway. So I'll actually do that. That's a pretty good worker micro. The reason I need so many roads in this area is because the river makes it really difficult to move units around efficiently when I've got one move archers that will only move 2 tiles with roads, or like 2 move tiles on the chariots that will move 4. Because ideally I can actually station units where this chariot is and move them into either city to defend. That's absolutely fine. But to get units from ARAM collusion all the way down to City 7 and to the City 8 site on the windmill, I actually want to move. I don't want to move onto the pig and then down this way. I want to move onto the hill and then onto this plains hill. So I'm actually 1 tile closer. It won't matter as much to get to City 8 because I've actually got to move slightly east, but it's useful to get to City 7, which is also kinda at risk because there's nothing south of it to defend it, to block it off from any aggression from Barbs or anyone else. So I just cancel those moves there so that they don't auto-complete by accident next turn. I'm going to keep on covering the work on the front with the chariot and warrior, just in case. I mean, attacking over a river now, that chariot's a perfectly decent defensive unit. The worker 3 I'm going to move down and use this one to road towards City 8 and City 7. That'll be absolutely fine there. That's actually all of the turn done. Now, there's not much else to talk about. Yeah, maths research is still going quite well. I'm now actually first in GNP because everyone else is saving gold. To go and look at the graphs, you can see how mine's shot up, but indicators dropped a bit. there's Thoth's again still is actually going down bank even more. Um, the demographics are absolutely fine. Well, I say fine. They are pretty much the best at the moment. Highest crop yield, but not by that much. Highest MFG, highest production, but again not by that much. Only by nine a turn. Then again, um, that's still quite a lot. Rival worst at 25. Then again, actually, the variation is only 10 between rival best and rival worst, and I'm again 9 above rival best, so that's quite good, considering that crop yield's also higher than anyone else. So it shows that even taking into account slavery as a source of hammers, I'm actually outproducing pretty much everybody in the game so far, and my research rates again absolutely fine. And because I've got so much gold saved, that's not unrepresentative really, because I just waited a while to get the better beacon modifiers in due to the library. It got the reset. Just to go through the cities quickly. Again, I could have got that cottage done this turn, but I decided against it so that I could get the chops done immediately at the City 5 location. That's actually going to be City 6. I know that's probably a bit disconcerting to some people. So I get the chop done immediately and then get the rice hooked up one turn sooner. Whilst that had happened, what was it, turn 81 done to turn 84, so that's like 8 turns into the future. Working that single cottage doesn't matter as much, because I still need to work that hill, that lumber mill tile for 2 turns to get the settler done. And after that, I can always move on to the farm to help regrow quickly, because the unhappiness wears off in, what is it, 7 turns, so it'll be 5 turns after the settler. I need 15 food to grow, and I make 1 food per turn. If I move off the lumber mill and onto the farm, which isn't being used by anything else, I can actually grow in 5 turns. And that'll give me plenty of time, because I only need 2 worker turns to finish that cottage anyway. Is it? Yeah, I only need 2 to finish that. So worker 1 could easily move around and convert that farm to a cottage to finish the work there. It could, and then move down to finish this other cottage, and then move back up to road towards to help improve cities 7 and 8. Or I could just ignore that all completely and build another worker, because a worker would take 6 turns to complete. So I would actually I'd have the unhappiness would wear off before then. So there are options. I could be really stupid and build a worker in Raise Your Donga after the granary, but every time you finish a granary, you should immediately use it. You should be using it immediately to grow. You shouldn't build a granary and then just stop growing. That's because otherwise you don't need the granary. You could have built something else more productive and then built the granary later. So I could build a worker here, but I won't. I'll almost certainly grow to size 7 and actually work 2 farms. Because at the end point it's, what is it, the pig, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, at the end it's just using the pig and then basically 6 hills, or 5 hills and the ivory. So it's just to grow quickly, and that happiness is going to wear off in 7 turns as well. So 1 turn to finish that, 6 turns to grow. Yeah, that'll be done easily. But a worker in this city done at size 7 would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 21. It would take 3 turns to complete, but that'd be done after the happiness is finished. It got the reset. So I've got to basically decide to delay that cottage a short while, delay the rice, or delay improving, or delay 1 worker moving down to improve these cities, because there's still 3. Well, there's 3 that are going to be in this area anyway. So what I'm likely to do is actually to use I might just use worker 1 to actually not improve that farm tile for a few turns, just to move down to road, a tile cancel, finish the cottage, and then move back up to do that cottage as needed. Once that city hits, once got the reset hit size 8, so that it ends up working 4, 5, 6 cottages total, and that'll be enough, I think, for a short while. So that's what I'll do there. ARAM collusion. again, if it's going to finish this settler with 0 overflow, I could focus a bit on getting the library down because the whip unhappiness is wearing off quite soon. 10 turns and that whip unhappiness is worn off. So yeah, I could focus on getting that library, like chop a forest to get most of it down. 1 turn's production. Yeah, 1 turn's production, 1 shot, double whip that library, and try and push back some of the culture. That would be possible. Build some more military. That's probably the more realistic option, because I do need a few more military units. Just a few axes, just like an extra like 2 axes and 4 spears, and I'd actually be really happy. Just an axe and spear between Say Baron again, their inclusion. An axe and spear between City 7 and City 8, and an axe and spear between this area and here tomorrow big, like on this hill. It'll be at the front, but it'll be like on show towards Commodore, like on this hill, but it'll help cover this. I'd then need some more units, and I would actually need some more units to cover here, but this area as I expand, but again that can wait a short while. So yeah, I might just build some axes and spears, potentially an archer or 2, just because they're cheap city defenders. They're cheaper than either axes or spears, obviously, but they're almost as good when you leave them in cities with fortification bonus. Just to back up any other units you've got. So I might just build a spear or 2 and then an archer. I do have to. The thing is, I do have to give over the ivory in that hill mine to Donga. So unless, and I'm making 5. So I might actually finish this settler. One thing I'm actually considering is I need to time this with when I have to give up those 2 tiles, because I finish this granary next turn, and then I'll immediately I'll move from 1 hill to the sugar farm. Then I'll use the sugar farm for 2 turns, so 76, 77, 78. Then I'll use the other farm. I think I'll use the other farm for 2 turns, because I'll make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18. Yeah, grow it, and then I'd grow it again in 2 turns to size 6. Save 15, need 32, so I'll need 17 food total. And I could swap between a hill for 1 turn and the forest for another turn to grow with 0 food spare. So that's 76 now, 7 and 8, 9. 83, I'd want both of these hill. I'd have to give up both of the ivory and hill back to Donga. So I've got a fair few turns. So got a few more turns to work these hills. So I could finish this settler. I could actually, if I was being really ballsy, I would not build any military. I could just build a worker, and then double whip a worker afterwards as well. So that would be worker 7 and 8 from this city, and then I could build. And the unhappiness would actually be mostly gone, so I wouldn't be stacking that much unhappiness anyway. So I could just then build up military from size 3 as it grows up to size 7, and those 2 workers could cottage. I could use them to mine another one of the hills and do whatever really. I'd likely have to cottage though, and work a few more cottages in this area, simply because it's cottages or farms. I don't have the ability to build workshops or watermills. There's only a single mine I can work. Even giving up the sheep, which I'm likely to do, but I don't have to do. There's still going to be a food surplus of 3, even if I use both hills. Although with calendar coming, working the incense as well drops that down to 2. But even then, it could grow from size 6 to size 7. Well, actually, with the extra happiness from calendar resources, I could just grow the city straight to size. God, what, 10? Work 2 hills, the incense, and 2 plains cottages. So wait, pig, 2 hills, 3 incense, 4, 1, 2, 3 is 7, 8 and 9. So I can just grow this actually to size 9 and just leave it there. It would be nice to have the extra culture in the city to get the banana, because that'd be awesome. Just the extra food from that. But it's a bit... Actually, what's the difference now? Actually, I could build one worker and then a easily whip a library afterwards instead of that eighth worker, which I might consider doing. After the library, I'll only producing one culture per turn more than novice, and if he got religion in that city, I wouldn't even be doing that, because he's got a monument, he's got a barracks. If he builds a library there, I'm a bit screwed. But he's got the granary now, so he might whip a library anyway. If he whips a library, then I'm going to be a bit more pissed off with him, and I actually will whip that library for sure. Um, there are not any more cultural buildings that I can really produce, unless I research mysticism to get the monument, which I'd actually do in this case if I needed it. There's that. Say Baron again's definitely doing the library next to the great scientist from the academy. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's the turn done pretty much. So I'll just take a few more screenshots. And I won't do the cities this turn, I'll do the cities next turn as the granaries are completed. I'm not going to, when I whip here tomorrow big, I'll be whipping that. I won't be whipping that next turn. I'll be whipping that turn after, but whatever. So yep, that's the turn. Novice is catching up in score, nothing special there. And Hawks is still not improved. So yep. None of these resources are hooked for Thoth. Yep. So yep, that's the turn. See you all later for the next instalment.